What is up, peeps? Coach Kev here. Working through some technical difficulties. Might be time for a new laptop for me here. I'm not sure. uh, StreamYard doesn't want to jive with other stuff when I'm trying to bring stuff up here. So, but anyways, uh, sorry about the other night. I gave you my intro the other night. It's still cold as shit here. It looks like it'll get back to normal after the Super Bowl next Monday, but we're still dealing with all that. But I got all my other stuff done earlier. I popped in Discord today. I haven't been in there. Like I told you last time, I took my Discord down. I just wasn't in it. I wasn't interacting with people. So people were trying to get a hold of me there. It was not a good way to do it. So, but there's some funny shit going on as usual. But the reason for today, and I'm sorry about the weird time, but I go back to work tomorrow. So it worked out, is mothers and their sons. So when we talk about serial killer or series killers, males, it almost always goes back to their mother. Doesn't mean they didn't have abusive dads or absent dads or this or that or other things like that. But there's almost always something with the mom there. So we're going to look at that, and I'm going to show you a couple examples of that. The big one's Ed Kemper when it comes to the mother because he actually stopped killing once he killed his mother, and he's been a model prisoner for like 50 years, which is pretty crazy. But let me say hi real quick. I'll get to my slides, and then I'll have a little background for about the last 20 minutes. I have some pictures of mothers and things like that and things that they did to their sons and, adding everything together. And we look at it's called the McDonald triad or the homicidal triad. Some people believe in that still, some don't. I think you have to give it a little bit of credit to it. It's the bedwetting, especially later in life, especially after you were potty trained, cruelty to animals, and setting fires. Those were when the original cast of characters from the BAU, John Douglas, Robert Ressler, and all those folks did that. They found that was a thing that happened in a lot of these killers. And bedwetting is also a sign of possibly the child was molested too. And as you'll see, we get into that it all kind of plays a part. So anyways, good morning, CJK. Good to see you. Jinx, hopefully we get through here without any other gremlins occurring. It is Groundhog Day, and Phil saw his shadow, so he was afraid. So 6 more weeks of winter. And as you guys know, that's where my wife, the lovely Brooke, is from, Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. Super cold up there today. It's like -10. Morning, Aurora. Good morning, Frank. Well, you don't be so handsome, then, Frank. You won't have that problem. Not snowing here right now. We have a lot. So this latest snowstorm this past weekend hit the coast and it missed us. Where we vacation in Topsail, North Carolina, they actually got pounded with snow. They have about a foot down there, and that usually almost never happens. So if you give me 1 second here, because for some reason that tab went off. But I'm going to share something with you here. And I'm going to get back out of my video and show you a couple things that I wanted to show you last time. And this is about a point where it all went downhill. So keep your fingers crossed that it doesn't do that again. So we're going to pull this up. We're going to share this tab instead once we get up on it. And this is about where we cut out last time. Let me just make sure. All right. So I don't know how much bigger I can make this. Again, I'll read it to you. But I'll share all these things on my page once I'm done so you can check it out for yourself. So if there's a new case that happens and there's a new killer, hey, you could kind of start looking at what you expect that this person is going to be. And criminal profiling is like a reverse engineering of things. They look at the crime scene based on the crime scene. They're able to tell certain things about the killers, and they get really, really in depth. And the reason that they're able to do this is because they've actually interviewed hundreds of killers. And a lot of the things that are in line, they put them in a book together. Hey, these guys all experience the same thing. These gals all experience the same thing. And then we have tendencies, and we can sometimes predict behavior. Behind many serial killers, a mother who shaped them, sometimes through control, sometimes through neglect, sometimes through a mixture of need and resentment that never resolves. In the whole thing that you read, this first paragraph, behind many serial killers is a mother who shaped them, sometimes through control, sometimes through neglect, sometimes through a mixture of need and resentment that never resolves. Control. Human beings crave control. We hear that a lot, but it's just not mom is beating me. Mom is taking my sheets because I peed my bed and hanging them outside. So I got to run home from school so no one sees it. It's all kind of things. Resentment. Mother hates men. She got treated bad by dad. I look like dad, so it's taken out on me. Ed Kemper, you got to sleep in the basement because you might rape your sisters. And she said this to him, and he said he never really thought of that until the mom brought that up. And then he started to do things with their Barbie dolls and things like that. So he had to sleep in a dark basement. In criminal psychology, the early mother-child relationship often becomes the emotional blueprint for a killer's adult life. Emotional blueprint. Mother-child, period, but especially mother-son, emotional blueprint. These men, for these men, childhood didn't end, it grew darker. Below are the killers listed. So here they give you some examples of things like that. Of course, Ed Gein, we've all probably by now have watched the Netflix show with Charlie, I don't pronounce his name, Hoon or Hun, does a great job. It's really well put together. Roseanne's sister, Lori Metcalf, I think I still call her Roseanne's sister, played the mom. Really, really, really good documentary, not documentary, but this depiction of Ed Gein's life. Really well acted. Ed Gein's entire world revolved around Augusta, his domineering, puritanical mother. Well, that's a big word. That's calling on the Puritans, if you will. She taught him that women were sinful and the outside world was corrupt, and that obedience was the only true virtue. When she died, Gein didn't grieve. Jesus Christ, who wrote this? He disinterrogated. Big words today for us. It's 10:30 in the morning on a Monday. His later crimes were delusional attempts to revive or reconstruct the only relationship he ever had known. Psychology, extreme dependency, maternal. You're killing us with these words this morning. Enmeshment, identity collapse. I don't know what enmeshment means. I know what the other words mean. So we'll have to Google that and see what that means. But apparently some kind of mesh, you look at that one of the words, part of the word you don't understand. Hey, well, I don't know what mesh means. It means go together. So she totally set Ed Gein up. You have to depend on me. Everything outside of this house is the devil. Almost like Bobby Boucher's mother on The Water Boy. That's the devil. That's the devil. Edmund Kemper, the ultimate matricide. Matricide is when you kill your mother. Patricide is when you kill your father. And if someone that kills their family, they call them family annihilators. If you're looking, John List was a guy from the 70s that did something like that. Clarnell Kemper, that was his mom's name, belittled Ed, locked him in the basement, denied him affection. He later admitted every killing was practice for murdering her. When he finally did, he described it as a release. Every victim before her was a stand-in, a rehearsal for his true target. The psychology on this: displaced rage, emotional deprivation, pathological loyalty mixed with hatred. So he had this loyalty and his hatred at the same time for his mother. But Ed Kemper, as we'll talk a little bit later, is to me the case on this, because once he stopped killing his mom, he never wanted to kill anyone ever again. A lot of these people will tell you, if they're honest, look, Judge, if you release me, I'm going to kill again. I can't control myself. Something's wrong with me. I am defective in some way, shape, or form. Ed Kemper killed his mother. We'll talk about what he did with her after. And he had such hate and such resentment. She worked at a school, UC Santa Cruz. So he killed co-eds from that school because his mother gave her attention to them, not to him. But it was practice for that. In a crazy, twisted way, if Ed Kemper could only killed his mother, we probably wouldn't even know his name. Highly adaptive, very intelligent, over 150 IQ, and a very, very, one of the most highly organized killers that I've ever seen or researched. Him and BTK are probably at the top of the list for me. John Wayne Gacy, protected from his father, possessed by his mother. Gacy's father abused him while his mother confronted him but never addressed the family violence. This dynamic created fractured identity, desperate for approval, terrified of rejection, hiding his sexuality and masking anger beneath charm. His killings reflected the rage he never expressed at home. dominance in private, respectability in public. The psychology on this was approval dependency, identity diffusion, suppressed rage. Oh, these guys have suppressed rage. Depression is rage turned inward. This is an incredible rage. Identity diffusion. So he was gay, and I think he knew he was gay for a long time. He knew how his dad would take that. His dad was already being abusive to him. So he has this identity that he has to kind of like split apart almost. In public, he's one thing. Compartmentalization starts, and that's where mental health really comes in. Approval dependency, he has to be approved. He has to be approved. When you watch him in his interviews, and if you study body language, you get when someone says something, they give you like that puppy dog look where they're kind of lifting their eyebrows. They're looking to you for approval of what they're saying. John Wayne Gacy was huge on approval. Look, I'm a JC, which is like a local organization, the business type people together. You know, I have all this going on. There's pictures of him with presidential wives or candidates and things like that. He was a big guy around town. Gary Heidnik, the mother he couldn't trust. Heidnik was bounced between relatives, institutionalized as a child, and emotionally abandoned. His mother's suicide cemented a worldview in which women were unreliable and dangerous. The dungeon he built in his basement was his answer, a world where he controlled everything. No one could leave him again. Psychology, abandonment, trauma, control fixation, relational paranoia. So this was in Philadelphia. Gary Heidnik had women in the basement. He'd feed them dog food, and even worse than that. We really never did a show on Gary Heidnik. But again, his mother killed herself, so she left him. So he found surrogates in their place and locked them down there and did everything that he wanted to do, and probably had some sick sexual fantasy about his mother too. We'll talk Gary Ridgway with that. He doesn't want anyone to leave. Relational paranoia, any kind of relationship he had, but especially with women. What are they doing to me? They're going to leave me. They're going to leave me. Control fixation. There is control again. And abandonment trauma. Abandonment trauma is a big thing. And you'll see that kind of repetitive here. If the mothers weren't abusive or really all over their kids and controlling of them, they were abandoned. But you see probably more so the mothers are abusive or controlling in some way. The mother protector turned murderer. The soap maker. This is a person I'm not very sure about here. Leonardo Ciancelli. I don't even know if it's probably wrong the way I'm saying it. But obviously this was a person, was a female. She turned her victims into soap and tea cakes as part of a ritual. Unlike most killers, her crimes grew from a distorted maternal instinct. So this was a mom that had some kind of whacked out maternal instinct. Henry Lee Lucas, you'll hear of him as the confession killer. Now, Lucas definitely killed people. How many, we'll never know. Lucas was beaten, forced to wear dresses, and made to watch his mother with other men. He described his first murder. His mother was startling, emotional detachment, humiliation. Okay, can you hear me now? I was really laying into some stuff here. So now I never turn my audio off. That's a StreamYard thing. So why there's not audio is the absolute craziest thing. Again, different things. When I came up the other day, my screen was real little. Like it's on like settings that I don't have, that I never have, and I'm not sure why it comes up. But I'm showing you all this stuff, and man, I had a lot of good stuff that I just said there. God damn it. So I'll surmise it again. We talk about a lot of it's the mom stuff comes up. We talked about Ed Gein and his situation and what was it? His entire world. And we talked about this too. Extreme dependency, maternal enmeshment, identity collapse. So he doesn't have an identity. His identity was given to him by his mother. Once mom's gone, what do we do? I don't know how to do it. He saw women like the lady in the store that he had sex with, the older lady, kind of reminded of his mom. And then back of his mind, Bobby Boucher syndrome. Football's the devil. Coach Klein's the devil. Ed Kemper was the guy that I talked about here. You guys couldn't hear me. He's the one that brings this all to light for me and brings it all together. Ed Kemper and his mother, Clarnell, hated his dad. His dad moved away. He looked just like his dad. Clarnell used to suggest to Ed that maybe you're going to do something. Maybe you're going to sexually assault your little sisters, so I need to keep you downstairs. What Ed said, and he's been very clear, over 150 IQ, highly organized, one of the most organized killers that I've ever researched. Him and BTK are probably the top of the list. In over 50 years in prison, been a model inmate. Reads books on tape so blind prisoners can hear it. He killed his mom. Once he killed his mom, it was over. Everyone else was a stand-in. And you see this over and over again. So even in a crazy, dilapidated, fucked up way, if Ed Kemper would have killed his mother only, we never would have heard anything about Ed Kemper. We wouldn't even know who he is. Ed Kemper's about 6'6", 6'7". John Douglas said he could have taken his head and twisted it off like a bottle cap when they were having interviews, and Ed Kemper would send them Christmas cards and stuff. They considered themselves friends, or he considered himself friends. But once he did this to his mom, it was over. Gacy was protected by his mom. He had an abusive father. Of course, he wasn't going to tell his father that he was gay. Psychology, approval, dependency. And what I was talking about before is when people seek your approval, and if you're in the body language and you watch any of those channels and things like that, you're going to see as you talk, looking down, eyes up, kind of that puppy dog look. Are you approving of what I'm saying? Gary Heidnik, this was the guy who had the Philadelphia dungeon, control fixation, relational paranoia, abandonment trauma. We saw what his mother did to him. And Manson, too. I was mentioning this before. Charles Manson's uncle, once his mom got rid of him, went to jail, a pitcher of beer. However you want to put it, Manson's mom abandoned him. And his uncle used to make him wear a dress because he said he was a little girl. You want to cry like a little girl. These are some other people. Henry Lee Lucas, I talked about real quick. Severe humiliation, disassociation, dressing like girls. Again, the Manson thing. Flattened effect. I'm not really sure what that means other than you're just so beat down about life. Humiliation, trauma, forced to watch his mother have sex with other people. And again, a couple other people who I don't know that much, but here's the gist of this. In profiling, the pattern shows up repeatedly. Hatred and devotion are intertwined. And that's how they learn from their mother. Their mother showed them hatred and devotion at the same time. So that is the relationship that what they have with most people in life, especially women. But they're compartmentalized this. So maybe part of them is good. John Wayne Gacy, he's a member of the JCs. He's a very successful businessman. On the outside, he's giving all these young guys a break and this and that. But on the other side, there's that other part of him. So that's the hatred and devotion. Dependency mixed with rage. Mom, I need you. Why aren't you around? Ed Kemper wanted his mother. Even though she was so mean to him, he raged because mom's not spending time with me. Mom works for the University of California at Santa Cruz. She works with these co-ed girls, and she's helping them out. Well, she's not helping me, so I'm going to kill some of these co-ed girls, and that'll show her. And he kind of killed two birds with one stone in his warped mind, thinking I'm practicing to kill my mom. I'm going to hurt her at the same time. Hurt her while she's still alive. Fear of abandonment. Many of those things we talked about. One of the interesting things with the fear of abandonment thing is Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy was said to have found out that his grandfather was probably his father around age 12 or 13. Now, we can never find out if that's actually true or not. But a lot of these mother's fear of abandonment. Heidnik's mother committed suicide. He blamed that on her. Paranoia about relationships. Then he chained them in his basement. You can't leave. Compulsion to reenact childhood dynamics through violence. It happens over and out in that they get misled. Mom and dad aren't around. They grow up in a tough area like where I live, and they're out there shooting people. They saw that when they were growing up, so of course they're going to repeat that. I mean, it is what it is. We know these things. The final reflection: some killers grow from violence, others grow from silence. Listen to that. Some killers grow from violence, others grow from silence. But the ones obsessed with their mothers often come from something more insidious, a childhood where love was conditional, unpredictable, or fused with fear. The result isn't just emotional damage, it's a blueprint. And again, we talk about that blueprint for adulthood. They're meshing two things, love and violence together. Once they mesh that, they mesh sex and violence together. So it becomes to a point where they have to hurt people or hurt themselves to achieve an orgasm in sex. And just think about how warped that is and how bad your mind must be. Their crimes reflect a relationship they never resolved, a wound that never closed, a need that became distorted into domination, reenactment, or possession. There are men who truly never left their childhood. They simply carried its shadows into adulthood. So that's just something there that I wanted you guys to see. And I'm going to open up something else here, and we'll get right into that before I pop back into the chat now that everyone can hear me. But that was kind of like the blueprint thing. That's a good thing to go to. So I'll share all this stuff on my community pages. The next thing we're going to talk about is quickly hit serial killers who hated their mothers, right? Hated their mothers. Well, when they say hate their mothers, it doesn't mean a total hate, because they still were devoted and still, somewhat loved their mothers or whatever. Or talk about their mothers, or wouldn't talk bad about their mothers. Some of them threw their moms under the bus. Others didn't want to talk bad about them. So as we're loading up here, trying to load up here. Da, 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 da. Try to get back in the studio here. This is what my computer's been doing. I have a couple things open up. It just goes all haywire on me. Okay, we're back here. Keep your fingers crossed, folks. Ta-da! Share this tab instead. One more thing has to work, and then we are in it. There we are. Look at me. I'm like fucking Tesla over here when it comes to electronics. All these serial killers have mom issues. They all probably do. Charles Manson, was he sold for a picture of beer? Charles Manson was not a serial killer. He killed probably a couple people. He killed Shorty Shea for sure, who was a farmhand at Spawn Ranch. But the people that committed the murders, holy goddamn ads. I remember there was this many ads in here. Usually when I get there and there's so many ads, I exit out of there. I wish there was a way to get the goddamn bingo blitz off the screen. Ed Gein, again, did he really hate his mom? Not necessarily, but we knew about that. There's Henry Lee Lucas. He beat his mother to death. Now that's there's people that do things out there, but you're hard pressed to find someone that did that. Henry Lee Lucas, a lot of lies he told too about killing this one. How about Berkowitz? Berkowitz was adopted, and he was into a good family, but then he found out that his mother had other kids that she kept, and then his stepmom Pearl passed away. When she passed away, he abandoned him. And he was 14. Is basically what that is saying. Eileen Wuornos had an absolutely horrible childhood. Didn't make up for what she did, but repeatedly molested, abandoned, beaten. Same thing for women. We have Charles Albright here. This is just too much. There's too many pop-ups on this page. Albright was a guy that I don't know that much about, but he was a guy from Texas. He would take eyes from people. Overprotective mother. But I mean, you're seeing the same thing over and over with these folks. These are the ones that are like kind of overprotective. We talked about people. We've talked about neglect and abandonment and things like that. Now let's talk real quick here. Let's talk some Gary Ridgway. Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer. His mother, so he would go through times where he would later begin to wet the bed after he was already potty trained. His mother would take him into the bathtub and she would wash his genitals for him. And he's probably 12 years old. His mother's bathrobe would open up, saying, "Imagine if someone like that at age 12 makes that confession to a psychiatrist at age 12. Maybe there's some not believed to be the most prolific, but there's probably many more, but he still is probably not the most prolific. And most of the prolific killers that you see are back up. Okay. So I'm not sure. Anytime I share anything, shit seems to go haywire here. So I'm sorry about that. I don't know what in the hell is going on. Might be time for a new laptop computer here or something like that, possibly. But the Gary Ridgway thing, let me just jump right back into that. Again, Gary Ridgway associates wanting to kill his mother and sex with his mother at the same time. It's beyond bizarre, absolutely beyond bizarre that. But as we keep sharing stuff here, and I don't even know if I should try to do it again. I am going to try because I'm a glutton for punishment, because there is something that I do want to show you. So what I'm going to try to do is I made a background, and I just want to go through, if we may here, and talk about the background. I will try to present an invite. Share the screen, and we'll see what we got. So this is just going to be a background of pictures and stuff like that as we talk here, hopefully. Come back. Okay. There we go. That's the original date that this was all going to happen. And then, of course, it didn't because we had technical difficulties. I've never had these problems with StreamYard before where it just kind of kicks me off. But anyway, Norman Bates' story talks a little bit about Ed Gein is where that was drawn from. So, but we're going to go through we'll just go through some slides. I had a couple other things I wanted to show you. I don't want to wreck the whole live and the whole channel again. So what I'll do is I'll share those things out there. But as we talk, so we have Ed Kemper. Ed Kemper is about 6'7". Ed Kemper, as a child, his dad left. His dad moved out. His mother tried to send him to live with his dad. His dad had a kind of a new life. He kind of freaked those people out too. Let me show you. Let's talk about this slide real quick. A diagram of two types of people, mothers and serial killers. These are people that collect hair and teeth. Think about that on a primal level. Now, of course, it's different, right? You still have your kid's teeth or you have a hair or something like that. But on the same primal level, mothers and serial killers collecting hair and teeth aren't that different. Primally, I don't think mothers and serial killers are the same people at all. I think mothers are probably the strongest force in the universe and serial killers are probably the worst. But it just shows you on a primal thing how we collect and how these things overlap. There's a lot of overlap that happens. And it doesn't mean that everyone's going to be serial killers, even if they hit the three, the tetrahedron or the tetrahedron. I'm thinking about fire shit, the triangle, not the fire tetrahedron. This is a slide that I'm going to share too, and you really have to blow it up to be good, but it has to be kind of small because it'll show you the kind of abuse that people have received and where it could take them to. So when you see a certain type of killing, it doesn't mean that it's 100%, but it's a lot of times you could start gleaming things. Hey, this is the way the crime scene was left. Well, this tells me that this person had probably had A, B, and C happen to them, but probably not D. And you could start figuring these things out. Then when you look at an old case, let's say you just take an old case, say you take Ted Bundy, you don't know a lot about him, you're going to start doing some research about him, and you're going to see that very early on, Ted Bundy was very organized. He used a ruse. There's Ted and his mother. Or his grandmother, depending on what you believe. He used a ruse. He pretended to be police. He pretended to cast himself. He would actually fix himself in plaster and cast himself. And later on, after the Chi Omega murders, where he went in drunk and he picked up a log outside. So you're going from a guy who's putting a cast on and using a ruse to just picking up something drunk and bludgeoning people with it. You go from very highly organized to very unorganized. And a lot of that has to do with alcohol. And a lot of these folks are alcoholics or drinkers. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. But you see your Rex Heuermann, who's not convicted yet, but I'm going to tell you what, that big red devil is going to burn in hell for a long time. Those are Jeffrey Dahmer's parents. Jeffrey Dahmer's mother left. There was some debate about what happened. His dad kind of was with him. Then his dad moved out and left him his senior year in high school, kind of on his own, up to his own devices. Jeffrey Dahmer was also an alcoholic, a functional alcoholic. His mother is weird. His dad has always said, hey, he hated what he did, but he always supported his son. But there's something with mom there. I don't know what it is. And I'm not a psychologist, but something with mom there. And we'll probably never hear it because they have all passed away now. So we won't know, but something with mom is off there for sure. But yeah, the Heuermann case is absolutely crazy. We might never know. There's Dahmer's mom. We might never know what happened, his relationship with his mother. But as some of the women that we saw, especially early on, if you look at pictures of his mother, and including his wife with that shorter with red hair, they all look like his mother quite a bit. I wonder if his dad was abusive and his mother was like, cling to me type of thing. So It's interesting. It's very interesting, but there's always psychological things that play in our head. There's always primal things. We're animals at the end of the day. We are. We're animals, and there's primal things that we cannot control. Those people that are smart and dedicate their lives to figuring that out, they're able to pick people out and say, this guy's lying, this lady's lying, this guy's telling the truth, and it'd be like a legitimate thing and not just be like some BS. That is a picture of John Wayne Gacy, a very young John Wayne Gacy. As you could tell, just by looking at that picture, he's probably spoiled. Maybe he has some kind of condition, although the donuts in his hands might kind of wipe that out a little bit, if you will. But dad beats John Wayne. Mom steps in. He becomes totally addicted, has to be around her. She takes care of him. He can't even tell her, though, about his sexual orientation and things like that. And that's what's happening there with Gacy, as all these things are going on. But Ed Kemper, back to Ed Kemper, the co-ed killer, as they called him. And remember that time in California, that's a young John Wayne Gacy. There was probably 7 or 8 serial killers in overlapping areas that were working undetected and were working unbeknownst to each other. Maybe they knew about each other, but they weren't working together. So girls are disappearing from UC Santa Barbara. Ed Kemper, very smart guy. In the older cars, if you remember how you used to have to open the old heavy doors, I wish we had them now because they were so much safer. There would be like almost like a clamp that you'd have to like pull together, like a metal thing. What he would do is he would drop a tube of chapstick in there so you couldn't open a door. And that's how the girls would remain stuck in there. And that was a ruse that he used. Another ruse that he used is he was look at his watch and be like, oh man, do I have enough time to pick that up? And he thought that that put a lot of the girls at ease, if you would. Thank you so much. I have stuff coming out, I promise you, for you guys, for you members only peeps, for sure. But I'm going to have some more recorded videos. So no, I have not gotten really into that case a lot, but I just hearing about it on the news. So I'm not that into that one, but report back as it is true crime news. But anyways, Ed Kemper. So Ed Kemper goes through all this. He kills these girls who he thinks will hurt his mother because she works for him. But going back a little bit as a youth, he gets taken with his dad. His dad doesn't want him, gets sent to his grandparents. He kills his grandparents with a shotgun. First, he shoots his grandfather, then he shoots his grandmother. He shoots his grandmother, then his grandfather comes home and he shoots him. He's in a psych institution till he's 18 years old. The guy is so smart and he reads so many books. He knows what the psychiatrists want to hear. He gets let out. And the psychiatrist said he's going to be okay. There's only one stipulation. Don't send him to live with his mother. The state of California sent Ed Kemper to live with his mother. So, of course, things start happening. He continued to have to go to parole hearings. One parole hearing he went to, he had the head of a woman that he killed in the trunk. And it was almost like, I don't even care if I get caught. If they catch me, they catch me. I go to jail or whatever. But, then they ended up finding him. They, calls are made. They have to take a weapon off him. One of the policemen know him. He hangs out at a police bar and he shoots the shit with the cops trying to find out what's going on. And yeah, they're not going to give you a whole bunch of information, but hey, that's Big Ed. Big Ed. Big Ed's buying drinks. Big Ed's harmless. He's a big guy. Wanted to be a cop, couldn't be a cop. He just we call it a cop whacker. Sometimes they'd call them badge bunnies or siren chasers. And that could be guys or girls. And they're just, hey, want to hang out, want to feel important, want to get the scoop maybe. So when all these murders happen and he finally kills his mother, he beheads his mother. He then has fellatio with his mother's head. He takes his mother's vocal cords and puts them in the garbage disposal. And at that point, he feels a release and he feels relieved. But now he's scared. So he gets in his car and he drives to Colorado. And he calls the police station at his hometown and says, hey, listen, I'm the guy. I'm Big Ed. I was killing the co-eds. And they laugh. Come on, Big Ed. You want us to believe you were the guy? And, finally another cop that knows him gets on the phone and he's like, listen, man, I'm not fucking with you guys. I'm a serial killer. And he says, hold on there. And they call the Colorado Police Department that was in the area at the time. And they said, this guy's huge. They show up with a bunch of cops. And he gives it up and he never has a problem kind of ever again. Hey, Fig, what's happening, brother? And he never have a problem kind of ever again. And like I said, he's been in jail for 50 years now, over 50 years. And he's been a model prisoner. And once he has this release where he kills his mother, it's over with. And it just makes you wonder, as a kid at 12 years old, if we knew what we knew now, was there signs? I mean, he shotgunned his grandparents to death. And when he's 18, he fools some psychiatrist, some shrink, thinking like, "Hey, you're okay to get out of here." But this guy was so smart, and they should have known. He had an IQ test. This guy's in some dumb hick from somewhere, or some dope from some inner city. This guy's legitimately smart. He's genius level. And so that's what happened with those girls. And he talks about his crimes freely. But to me, he was the one that I always go back to, because once he committed matricide and killed his mother, it was over with. And he would taunt her. He would bury the heads of the girls at his mother's window in the grass. His mother would look out at night, and they would all look up at her. And it was just such a sick depravity. But he talks about it so freely and so openly. And it just makes you wonder that if you could catch someone early on, maybe you could fix them, maybe you can't, but maybe you could stop them from murdering and from slaughtering people. I don't really know. And you can't arrest somebody for something they haven't done yet. I'm all the way against that. But there has to be something that we can figure out, something a little better maybe than what we're doing now. But in the future, when you hear about a case or you're researching an old case, one of the first things that I ask, like, I wonder what the relationship was with his mom. There is John Wayne Gacy's mother. What was the relationship with his mom? The bone guy, I can't even remember what his name is now. I wonder what his relationship was. And I started looking at it, power and control. That's a power and control thing. Makes sense. So much is about power and control, and so much of this power and control was taken away from these guys or girls when they were children. And they've chased the rest of their lives chasing that power and control. Any way to get it back, even if it's just a room in their house where they mimic this. I'm in charge of this room, and anytime I want to have power and control, I can come in this room and I am God in this room. And it usually has something to go back when they're kids. There was some kind of abuse, there was some kind of neglect, there was some kind of smothering by the mother. That's Richard Ramirez and his parents. Richard Ramirez's mother. There's another thing, we talk about head injuries. Ramirez has it, Ridgway has it, Kemper has it, John Wayne Gacy has it, where they've had these injuries. And it looks like it's cortex frontal lobe, a lot of them. Richard Ramirez's mother also worked in a cleaning plant where they would, you take your stuff to a cleaner's shop and then they ship it out to a big place where they had a lot of industrial things like that. His diet was horrible. That was one of the reasons he got caught, because his breath was so bad. His breath was winging because all he would eat is sugar and things like that. And his teeth looked like dice at the end. So that was one of the things also that connected him to everything like that. But again, it's their kids, right? He wasn't a killer then. He wasn't born a killer. I don't think people were born killers. It's always nature, or it's always nurture. It's never nature. Nature versus nurture. Nature. This guy's born a killer. Nurture. This guy became a killer. I really believe that, and I think that. So I will share a few other things that I have here on my community page, and I don't want to pull anything else up because I'm afraid that this thing's acting crazy on me. But yeah, Jinx, the Huberman case is crazy already. It absolutely is. I would recommend the Gein series is pretty good. There's also another good series that's going on, or that went on recently, was I think it came out in the end of the summer, was about, let me get the heck off of this, was to get the Son of Sam stuff, where I told you guys before, where we kind of all knew this because we're, big true crime people, that it was all made up. He made that stuff up about his dog. The mine hunters kind of cracked that. So just making sure I say hi to everybody. Sorry about last time. Sorry about the goofiness this time. But I will share, like I said, I will share all the stuff that I was going to show you guys. There we go. I fixed that, because I think it's pretty interesting stuff. And it's just, this is what brought me kind of here to YouTube, if you will. Hey, Big Fish, good to see you. I think I said hi to everybody. But it's just, it's something in our minds, the way human beings are. And the more that I research stuff, on this primal psychological end, the more that I realize that we are all pretty much the goddamn same. No matter what country you come from, no matter what race you are, no matter what gender you are, people have the same experiences and they usually react the same way to those experiences. So it is it's very interesting to me. But treat your children right. Maybe if you see something, hey, a neighbor kid, hey, something's going on. It's tough to raise your hand and say something. It's very tough, especially if you're not sure. Then you worry, especially in our country or foster care system, what's going on there. But anyways, I hope you learned something tonight, a little bit. But I will share all the stuff that I have and may use it in the future. It's a tool in your toolbox. So if you're investigating something, or if there's a current murder that you're looking at, or murders, and you're, hey, what do you think? This is the way we're hearing that scenes were left. These are the things that are pretty concrete, and you can look at that and be like, ha ha ha. So, and try to put people in a box, and then from the way that you figure that out, you reverse engineer that. You reverse engineer it out the other way. What are they doing now? Now that you kind of figured out, that bugle goes this way back into their childhood. Now you get back to the present. Now you want to send it out to the front. What are they going to do now? Are they going to do this again? And how do we catch them? So, but I thank everyone for joining me on our early Monday. It's cold as chuck here still. Actually, it's up a little warmer now. I think we might even be in the 20s today. But it's been friggin' Antarctica cold here. CO alarm in Crawford. That's what that call was. But back to work for me tomorrow. Hopefully everything's cold. Nothing gets on fire. Nothing freezes, because when you have a fire in this weather, you literally need help taking your coat off. That's not a joke, because it freezes. So, hey, it is what it is, right? Anyways, happy Monday. I hope everyone has a good week. Look for some stuff coming up for me, some pre-made videos. I want to do more lives, obviously, because I enjoy the interaction. But I'm working on a couple of different topics. So I'm going to pop back on some other cases that are happening. The human stuff is really going to start picking up pretty quick here. But there's a few other things that are very interesting that are happening in the world of true crime, and even some investigations of old cases that are going on that I think are very interesting. And thank God that so many of these police departments kept a lot of this evidence, because now they're able to get DNA and different things off the evidence. Think about evidence of today that we're keeping. We can't get anything off of this right now. Maybe 20 years from now, hey, we can split that DNA that was compromised, or multiple DNA, and we can figure things like that out. So, but that is all. I hope everyone had a good time. Go have some more coffee. It's still time. I'm going to try to figure out my computer. Hey, Mustang, what's up? Good to see you. And hopefully you'll learn a little something about this stuff. And if this is in your realm, look for stuff that I'll share here in a few minutes on my community page. And hopefully everyone checks that out and, understands the link between mothers and their sons. Even if you're a mother and you have a son, I'll never be a mother. I don't think. It's a little late in the game, but I think I could say that with all honesty. But just know about that. Know how it affects everybody, and how it affects people, and how our relationships affect people, and how we carry it. So that's it, and leave you to it. I have my top cell, North Carolina, underneath feet of snow right now. I'm going to leave you to it. I want to say thanks to everyone for popping in. Hope you enjoyed it. Share, like if you do. Look for some more stuff coming up for me, including some pre-made videos even. So I'm going to leave you guys to it. Have a great week. Stay warm.